not what we want our next try to be, and we finally figured it out.
Starting today, we are launching a subscription streaming service. Our shows are coming straight to you. No ads, no algorithm BS, no clickbait thumbnails, just the good stuff.
Girl, what in the ever-living fuck? Let's talk about this. Okay, let's acknowledge the elephant in the room. My room is a mess. We're not going to talk about that right now. Let's talk about this, though. This is my, third time trying to film this because I tried to film this in my office, and then I realized I can't be loud and myself when I'm in my office. So I need to keep it true to authentic Bree fashion and be uncensored and unfiltered about this situation, okay? I have notes. I want to show you what I have produced and how we're going to get into this. These are my notes. I have so many notes, and you know me. If you know me well enough, if you've been following me for a fat minute now, you know I don't take notes. So if you see me referencing this notebook every so often, it's because there is so much going on here that I needed to do a much deeper dive into this other than the Watcher thing. Let's just begin. Am I surprised about this happening? No. To be quite frank with you, I should have seen this from a mile away. I really should have, because here's such a true and honest fact. The Watcher Boys and the Try Guys are friends. Why am I not surprised about this? I shouldn't be surprised about this. Am I absolutely baffled that I was going to be making a video about it? Yes, because here's the thing. Yes, this kind of did catch me off guard, not gonna lie. Just because, I saw the whole thing with Watcher, and I was like, you know what? This is too hot and too new not to talk about. And the same thing goes with this. This is too relevant, too hot not to talk about. So obviously, if I talked about Watcher, I have to obviously talk about this. I'm gonna try to keep this entire video as unbiased as possible, okay? Which is gonna be somewhat hard given the fact that I am a big fan of the Try Guys. I have been a big fan for a very long time. To be quite honest with you, nowadays on YouTube, they are the only group that I watch consecutively. I listen to the Tripod every Thursday when it comes out. There's just so much to go into this, and I want to preface this video by saying not only am I going to try to be as unbiased as possible, I need you all to understand that I also have a degree in economics. So for some of this, I will be talking more in the sense of a business aspect, because now that I've understand a little bit more information about this and I've gotten a lot more knowledge on the whole topic at hand, I feel as though my opinions just in general have changed ever so slightly, just looking at it from a business standpoint. But from a moral standpoint, I still kind of stay true to the same thing of what the fuck, you know? So let's just go straight into this. Okay, so for starters, this was announced 2 days ago, okay? Well, maybe a day ago, I don't know. I'm recording this on the 23rd. They announced this yesterday, okay? Before they announced this yesterday, they teased that they were we've never said that we're not gonna add another member of the Try Guys. I was like, oh my god, they're gonna add another member of the Try Guys. I was sitting there for hours after they announced this thing on their Instagram. I was like, oh my god, is it gonna be Jared Popkin? Is it gonna be Quasi? Is it gonna be Miles? Is it gonna be Johnny Cakes? I had all of these theories up in my head. I was thinking who are they gonna put in their thing for be the next Try Guy? I was so jazzed about it. I was so excited. I was like, oh, we're getting all the shit back together. We're doing it all over again. This is gonna be lit. I'm so excited for this. This is gonna be great. And then I woke up this morning to the announcement of them adding 9 new cast members. Now that just kind of threw me for a loop, because not only am I getting all of the people that I wanted to be a 4th Try Guy, I'm getting even more people that are even more amazing. It's an amazing cast. It's an amazing cast of people, okay? So on the cast, we have Johnny Cakes, Joyce Louise Jean, Miles Bonsignor, Ryan Garcia, YB, Marissa Rivera, Jared Popkin, Ash Perez, and Quasi James. That is the 9-member cast that is being added to this crew here. And then, because I don't really keep up with Instagram that fast, I'm on the road, and I get a message on Discord saying, so they're starting a streaming service? I was like, what? I almost did a Yui. I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Because in my head, having only seen the new 9-member cast, I'm thinking to myself, fuck yeah, we're pulling a Smosh. This is gonna be great. We're gonna have new people. It's gonna be new and exciting and fun, and we're gonna have other people try new things, and it's gonna be great. No, I find out while I'm on the road about to crash into a pickup truck that they're launching a streaming service, okay? Okay, so, oh my god, I don't even know where to begin with this, because, again, I don't necessarily know what to even, my notes aren't even, fully condensed and well put together to even tell you what I even, know how to go about this. And I know after I make this video, my chances of working for this company are slim after this fact. And you know what? That's fine. I was never gonna be made for the media industry as is anyways, so who cares? So, this new 9-member cast, we've seen most of these people slowly being integrated into the videos ever since Ned left, okay? So, I'm not surprised at the people that they chose for this cast because this was inevitable. This made a lot of sense to me. Like, this was gonna happen regardless. But the thing that I was very interesting, like, that I found very interesting was, like, whenever they announced this thing, everyone's just like, where's Eugene? Where's Eugene? Where's Eugene? Now, the video that I made this video initially yesterday when this announcement came out, and back then when I had made that video, we hadn't heard from Eugene yet. So I was thinking, you know what, I'm gonna re-record it once Eugene speaks because I need to know more about his side and whatever. I'm not surprised that Eugene is leaving because I knew that this was gonna happen. I knew that Eugene was gonna leave. Not because of this situation, because I know that he was also part of agreeing to greenlighting this streaming service. They had said from the get-go that Eugene was always working on other side projects. Eugene has always wanted to do other things. Everyone has said from the beginning of when they started Second Try as a company that Eugene wanted to be a big director in the film industry. We knew that from the get-go, so I don't know why people are so surprised that Eugene is leaving the Try Guys. I think that was kind of a given. Also, like, because he hasn't really been in videos lately, I think that was also a given. Like, I felt like, to be quite honest with you, I feel like it was something that didn't even necessarily need to be talked about. Because if you really are paying attention and you know Eugene, like, just in general, very private guy, just very creative in his own space, it was obvious. It was obvious that he was leaving. Honestly, yeah, it makes sense that he's, you know, moving on to bigger and better things. That's what he's always been meant to do. He's always meant to be a director, a writer. You know, I knew, and you know, my suspicions were confirmed whenever he had that voice acting gig in that new Netflix show or movie or whatever it was. I was like, oh, this guy, he's gonna be on like big TV. He's gonna be pulling a Quinta. I know this already. So I'm not surprised that he's leaving the YouTube industry. I'm not surprised about that at all. Also, another thing that was mentioned, and a lot of some of the notes that I have on here are taken from the tripod. Zach and Keith talked about how when they had their trio meeting about this thing, Eugene had said like, oh, I'm gonna put all of my shit on the back burner, and Zach and Keith were like, no, we're not letting you do that again. Because he'd been doing that for so long. He'd been putting all of his projects on the back burner, prioritize this, which is understandable. I mean, that was how they were making most of their income at the time. So it makes sense that he was putting those things on the back burner. But, you know, they're all good friends with each other. They're best friends with each other. I mean, like, each of them were in each other's weddings. Well, Eugene's not married yet, but that's beside the point. It was inevitable that they were going to be like, look, Eugene, we know that you want to do bigger and better things. We're not letting you, as our friend that we love and care for, we're not going to let you put your dreams and aspirations on the back burner to focus on this thing that very evidently at this point you are outgrowing. And that's normal. That is so normal. As a content creator, it is so normal to outgrow things and to move on, as seen by a lot of these content creators that are leaving the platform. I mean, MatPat just left. I could list a ton of other people that are leaving YouTube. Like, it's very evident that YouTube is not sustainable anymore, but we'll get further into that. Why is this happening? If you watched literally any bit of this trailer, which I have watched it maybe like 5 times already within the past like 20 minutes, basically what was said in the podcast was that algorithmic media is hard to follow. And that's something that I don't disagree with, okay? They've spent their entire lives on YouTube, you know, making a profit off of their fans. But with the way that YouTube works is that they have an algorithm, okay? And it's very evident by anything that if you've been on the internet for as long as I have, algorithm is ever so changing. I remember when the algorithm first, you know, made its big change, I think back in like the early 2010s, because I was watching YouTube back in like 2008, 2009, and I was getting recommended videos that were just random videos. I still remember how I got into Minecraft was because I saw a random Minecraft video on my homepage. Nowadays, they don't show you that. They show you the way that the algorithm works now, that they'll show you videos based off of things that you've already watched. So that's how they're getting you to get into into looking at these things. Whereas back then, it was just entirely by chance. If YouTube thought that you had a good video and they wanted to put it out to the public, they would make you watch it just by happenstance, okay? Algorithms are always changing ever so consistently all the time. And another thing that is another big issue with YouTube at the moment is that because of the influx of TikTok and Instagram Reels and short form media making its way into the mainstream media world, YouTube is struggling to keep up with that, okay? They're trying to decide whether they want to stick to their usual of long form media content or if they want to move over to short form media, which is like, you know, the it thing nowadays, okay? Which makes things for people who want to make long form media a lot harder, okay? It makes it very complicated and very difficult because at this point, it's like, well, how do I navigate this? How do I try to make sure that I'm staying true to my craft and true to my person and true to what I believe in as good media, but also stick with what YouTube expects me to do? It's hard. It is very hard. And it's very evident, then they said this in their video, that they want to make content that the fans love. They want to make content that the fans are wanting and what they want to see and how they vocalized, we like these shows, you know? So they wanted to provide something that would allow them to be able to do that. And a streaming service apparently is the answer to that. Let's get into why that is the case. So yeah, a lot OG YouTubers are finding it hard to grow in this YouTube space because of this algorithmic change. That makes a lot of sense. And because content creators, a lot of the people that we watch, I understand that it's fun, it's entertaining, it's fun media for us. But we also have to realize these are people trying to make a life, okay? People trying to make livelihoods, feed their families and themselves, and pay rent and do all that stuff. They need funding for this shit. People don't, like, not a lot of people have especially the product of, like, these different media companies that we watch. For example, like, you know, Watcher or Try Guys or Mythical or Smosh. They make money off of this stuff, and they need that money to, you know, continue to not only pay their employees, but also pay themselves. And so because YouTube is very like, oh, algorithm, if it doesn't perform well in the algorithm, then they're not going to pay their content creators. On top of the fact that, like, YouTube is very constantly changing their rules and regulations. So maybe one day they'll post a video that is fine, but then like 2 weeks later, it'll get demonetized because the rules and regulations have changed. Everything is constantly changing for YouTube, because the fact of the matter is that YouTube is going to do what is best for YouTube, okay? Not what is best for their creators. That's just how businesses work. That has always been the case. That is not just with YouTube. That is with most major businesses. That's just how it is. So something that they mentioned in their podcast episode was that there were different ways that they could have gone about trying to branch out with the Try Guys, okay? And let's also remind ourselves that the whole reason why this is even happening is because they almost lost everything 2 years ago when that whole scandal broke out. Like, that almost absolutely destroyed their company. It could have, because that's like a whole like power dynamic thing that is even above more worse than like just general HR, you know, issues. That's a power imbalance, okay? That's an entirely other like legal thing that is very complicated. But basically, they needed to try to sort of rebuild themselves from that hellscape that they were just in, okay? So because of that, they had to think, well, what is the next move for us? Because we're not getting monetized in the way that we used to. It's not the same anymore. We need something that can make us more profitable money. Well, they decided to follow different ways that different creators have gone through, like making more money, like different models. So here are the different models that were explained in the podcast episode. So for example, there's marketable items, okay, marketable goods, okay, selling goods that are like physical, feasible items. So a prime example was Prime Energy, which was Logan Paul's energy drink brand. Another example was Chamberlain Coffee by Emma Chamberlain. And granted, I don't know what Logan Paul is doing right now. I don't even know if he still makes videos. I know that he's boxing in the ring occasionally here and there. And Emma Chamberlain, from what I understand, doesn't even make videos that she used to make anymore. All I know is that she's strutting on Vogue, being a top model and making coffee. And like the thing is that because they make all their money from those companies, they don't really need to rely on YouTube that much anymore to make their profits. They're basically relying on the company that they built and the marketable item that they were able to make. And the thing is that both Zach and Keith tried this method before. One of them being very successful with Keith's hot sauce, and Zach's tea companies, Zadeco. That should already tell you in and of itself which one failed and which one didn't, okay? But like they had tried their hand at doing a marketable item, and it wasn't profitable for them. Not really. Maybe for one of them, yes, but not for the whole entire company. And that in and of itself shows you that one option was not the smartest option. The next option that they talked about was the mythical option, which basically what that is like Mythical Society and the Mythical company itself. They make their money mainly through Good Mythical Morning. That is how they make most of their income and how they're able to fund all of the other side projects that they do. Mythical also does a sort of subscription-based channel like thing. I don't know if there's an app to it, but I just know that they do have like a subscription-based service where you get exclusive content, and that not only generates revenue as well, but also the main money that comes in from Good Mythical Morning, they use to fund their other side project. For example, from what I also heard was that they greenlit a scripted show that they're able to greenlight themselves because they have the money and funding to do that. If they were to try to give it to like a company like NBC or ABC Family, like it would take them forever to get that stuff greenlit. But because they have their own company and they have their own funding, they're able to do that very easily. So that was one model they could have gone, and they basically did go. And then the last model was the Smosh model, which I'm not a big fan of Smosh. That's not to say that I don't like Smosh, but I've never been like a diehard Smosh fan. I never really watched Smosh. But from what I understand about Smosh is that the way that they've navigated their entire YouTube careers is just by trying to chase the algorithm and follow as closely as possible to what they could with the algorithm. And that in of itself is good in some ways, but it's very up and down roller coastery. You can't always rely on the algorithm to make sure that they push out your videos. I don't even know the last time I saw a Smosh video on my YouTube homepage because I don't watch Smosh, but they've never been advertised to me ever. So that just goes to show you that it's always an up and down scale of whether or not following the algorithm is a good thing to do, or if starting your own streaming service is a better thing to do. Because in the end, profitability is the main thing that runs these channels, okay? Keith made a prime example of saying that you have to look at the money in terms of a pie, and I thought that was a great way of explaining it, because I feel like a lot of people fail to understand that, like, when it comes to funding your your business, okay? There are multiple things, especially when you are an independent business. There are multiple things that could be funding your business. And Keith explained it in a way that was like that a big piece of the pie is YouTube. And if that pie slice was taken away from them, and if they were only relying on that pie slice for the funding that they need for their content, they would go broke. They would go broke. They would go broke and be completely sent into bankruptcy and obsoleteness. That is so understandable. Everyone, if you're trying to become like big and you want to make this your full-time job, you have to have other methods of making money. Because if you don't, relying on a company that is very, very wishy-washy all the time and ever-changing constantly, that's not going to give you all the funding that you need to continue on with your thing. I have a day job. I have a day job that gives me money. I don't make money off YouTube. Then again, I haven't even been consistently uploading on YouTube at all. But regardless, even if I were to make more money, if I were to make money on YouTube, I would have to be damn sure. I'm just going to leave the Google homepage on because I don't care. But as I was saying, I would need to make damn sure that I was okay with being able to quit my day job to pursue YouTube, because I need to make sure that I'm financially stable enough to continue doing this. I understand that it costs money, you know? So like, I'm not just going to quit my day job just to pursue YouTube full time if I don't have the numbers to show for it, you know? But these people have been doing content creation for their entire livelihoods. So it makes sense that they need to rely on some source of income to continue to pursue it. So basically, the main question is, what does the streaming service provide that YouTube doesn't? Well, it provides freedom, basically. It provides freedom to do whatever it is that they want. Uncensored content. They could do no ads, no threats of demonetization, because they're the ones that are in control. They could greenlight literally any show that they wanted to and put it on the streaming service, and if it ends up not getting the views that they want to, they could easily remove that shit. It is up to them. Having a streaming service allows for so much freedom in terms of what they can do and what content they can make and put out, and that makes so much sense. That's so understandable, because if you let's say you make like you make a decision of like doing a concept. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but like, let's say for example, you come up with this amazing idea for like a show that you want to do, like a series, and in your head it's like so entertaining, so fun, you put so much effort into it, you're editing it, and it takes 10 hours a day to edit for a week, and you're like, oh, this is gonna be great. You only get 200 views on it because the algorithm hates you. That sucks. That would suck. If they have a streaming service with diehard fans that are willing to pay for it, they understand that like the fans would love that show. And also another thing is that apparently the streaming service, like, they have most of the shows that people had already agreed that they wanted to watch. For example, like Smoke Show, Trolley Problem, Candid Competition. What other ones did I have? Escape the Kitchen. You know, these are all shows that at some point in some way were either demonetized or censored in some capacity. Smoke Show is a very prime example of a show that is very much violating a lot of YouTube regulations because 1, it talks about marijuana, 2, it talks about the consumption of marijuana, and 3, they have shown smoke and, you know, joints and things being exposed in the video. You can't upload that to YouTube without having it censored in some capacity. By allowing the streaming service, they have the freedom to do whatever they want. They don't have to censor that shit. They can like easily allow that into the world. And there are people, diehard smokers, I'm sure, that would love to watch Smoke Show, you know? So that in a way is appealing to more of their audience and less to care about what YouTube wants from them. Well, that brings up the next question. Well, what about YouTube? Well, they explained it very, very simply. They're still going to be on YouTube. This whole Second Try TV is very similar to a lot of different things that are a lot of different platforms that I've already heard about in my entire time of being on the internet. Dropouts, for example, is a prime example. They're the first people that were originally a YouTube channel that made a streaming service. I know Mythical does it. I remember back when Rooster Teeth, I've mentioned them before, they did the same thing where they had a subscription-based service where things would be early released onto that and then later released onto YouTube. This is something that's not uncommon. I've not seen this before, okay? And this model works for most of these companies that are trying to make a name for themselves, trying to make it look like they are a very serious company. So I'm not surprised by this at all. And so that's why they're still allowing it, where obviously people that are paying the subscription can see it early on, but then, you know, we're gonna see it later. 2 weeks later, yeah, but hey, if I have to wait 2 weeks later to save $3.33 a month, I'd rather do that than spend the money, okay? How is this different than Watcher? I mean, if you've gotten this far into the video, you should probably already tell by the tone of my voice and the way that I've talked about this that I seem pretty on board for this streaming service. On the one hand, I am, and the only reason why is because I see that they are a company. They are a company that has employees underneath them, and those employees need to be paid, and I respect the working class, okay? You know, in order to have people have jobs, you need to do what's in best interest of your company because you want to make sure that you're paying your employees employees fairly. So that's why I am kind of becoming more lenient concept of streaming services, even if I myself am not going to become a subscriber to them, okay? But here's the reason why the delivery of this is way different than Watcher TV, and why I think the mass public has accepted this over the way that Watcher was accepted, because of the delivery, because of the marketing tactic. Watcher, the way that they did it was very serious in tone. They sat on a couch, they basically sat us down like very, very upset, disappointed parents, saying like, hey, your mom and I are getting divorced. That's how they went about it. They never teased new shows that were going to be on the streaming platform. They didn't really explain exactly how it was going to work. They never really gave a full-on detailed itinerary as to what their streaming service was going to be. And on top of the fact of saying that they were going to entirely remove themselves from YouTube, made it kind of scary for people. That's literally like how it feels when your mom and dad tell you you're getting divorced. The difference with Second Try and the way that they announced it was, one, not only did they slightly make fun of Watcher in a way, well, less about Watcher and more about themselves, but they made it fun and entertaining. You saw the first couple seconds of that clip from that trailer. It looked fun. It looked like an SNL skit. It looked entertaining. It looked like something that straight up came out of Disney Channel, because there was bright colors and action and movement, and they said it in a way that was like enticing for people to want to buy it. That's how you know that marketing plays such an important key role in how you deliver news to people. Marketing and delivery. And on top of that, if you look at all the posts that they've put on their Instagram within the past several days, very fun, bright colors, very exciting, very enticing for people. Colors, and it just made it seem fun. On top of the fact that they also showed what kind of content was going to be put on the streaming platform that made people excited. They talked about the new season of Try Guys, original content that they did before, and they talked about other series that they've had, either are going to make coming up soon, or series that they've already tried very much like early on and wanted to test it out on YouTube to see how it would do on the streaming platform. These are things that made people excited. Making people excited is what makes people very, very open to the concept. That's why I think that obviously there might be a discrepancy between Watcher and Try Guys, but the thing is that they just did their marketing right. And if anything, from what I've heard, is that they've been planning this streaming service for over a year now. This is not something that was just thought of overnight. The way that Watcher went about it made it seem like it was an overnight plan, that it wasn't something that they had thought about fully. Whereas the Try Guys fully explicitly said that they had been thinking about this for over a year now. And that shows you how much time and effort goes into planning something before it comes into full production, okay? So in conclusion to this, and in conclusion to all of this, unfortunately, as I've said before, money is what makes the world go round. It's the sad fact of life. Without money, we can't do anything. And without money, you can't continue to support the life that you live, because we live in a society where money is important. That's just how it is. That's how the world works. And if you don't have money that's in your favor, you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to be able to do the things that you want to do. I mean, hell, I'm recording on a $500 camera that I bought on a whim, and I wouldn't be able to be recording on this high quality camera if it wasn't for the fact that I had a day job, So you have to do, unfortunately, what is the best interest for yourself and your company. But at the same time, in a way, they are kind of doing it for the fans, because in a way, allowing people to see early access, they can decide maybe this content isn't good enough to put on YouTube to show the rest of people. Or maybe we could decide, maybe like if we test it out on the streaming service first and see how it goes, maybe then we can add it to YouTube. It's kind of in a way like, so I understand that people that watch the streaming service are like the little guinea pigs of the world and are testing out the little product before the final production begins. In a way, it's kind of like testing the waters and making sure that everything that they put out is high quality content. Now, where does this mean I stand when it comes to streaming services? I don't know, to be quite honest with you. I've seen a lot of positive opinions on this, negative opinions on this, like in-between opinions on this. One opinion that I saw that was very common was like, why doesn't Watcher, Mythical, Try Guys, Smosh, why don't they all just, combine together to make one streaming platform? And the reason I'm going to tell you why that is not a good idea, or why that seems kind of unfeasible, is because they're all individually separate different businesses. They don't all think the same. They don't have the same mindset. They don't have the same production quality. They don't have the same creative processes. They are all different companies, so they're not going to be making the profit that they want to be making off of these different streaming services. On top of the fact that if we had combined all of them into one, we will be paying a lot more than what we have to pay for these individual streaming services, which obviously it sucks. It sucks having to buy another streaming service. But again, you don't have to if you don't want to. I mean, it's very evident that these people plan on staying on YouTube. So what? You have to wait 2 extra weeks to watch a YouTube video. Such is life. If you want to save that money, you should save that money. I know I will be saving that money because I already pay for all the regular streaming services on the earth. I pay for YouTube Premium. Premium? Why is YouTube Premium $18.99 a month? When did it go up in price? I don't even know. I'm considering canceling that stuff. But literally, like, this is unfortunately the way that things are going about nowadays. Like, the content creators that we grew up with are outgrowing the old platform that they used to use and rely on for most of their career. And it sucks, and it's shitty, and it's sad, and change is scary. I get it. But that's unfortunately how it works. And I can't fault them for doing that, because at the end of the day, they do have to decide what is best for them, because unfortunately and unfairly, the way that the world works, you have to be selfish sometimes. So all I will say is that, you know, based off of my watcher video, I'm a little bit more lenient in the whole concept of this streaming thing. Do I think it's great? No, I still think it's kind of shitty, and I still think it kind of sucks. But at the end of the day, from a business standpoint, I can't help but respect it, because people need money to live, to eat, to produce what they want to produce. That's just how it is, unfortunately, and it sucks. But anyways, if you like this video, please subscribe. I usually upload. I don't have a consistent upload schedule yet, but I do make other content other than this. But again, the tea is too hot and too relevant not to talk about it. I will hopefully see you all in the next video, and I hope that you stick around and watch more of me, because I'm pretty funny. So if you like this kind of content, if you like me talking about random things in front of my TV, let me know in the comments below. I love taking ideas from people, and I'm very open to suggestions and what you want to hear me talk about. Hopefully this video is not actually 30 minutes long, because I have been recording for 30 minutes long, and I don't know how I'm going to upload it. But anyways, have a good rest of your week. Have a great day. Take care of yourselves. Drink water. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.